We love to go out and shoot, but sometimes we're not always able to get the footage that we might need for a project. So occasionally we like to use what's called stock footage. Stock footage is basically footage that someone else has shot that they've made available to others to use.
Well, you're probably wondering, how do we determine if we're going to use stock footage or live footage? And I think the answer to that is both a financial decision, meaning if your budget allows, and also a creative decision.
Right, one of the big advantages is that you can get shots that you may not have possibly been able to get otherwise. There might be a location across the world that you need to get, but you may not be able to fly there or get there in enough time, so that's it.
Or you may not have access to some of those locations, right?
Exactly. So we're doing a project right now for a company that does work for pharmaceutical companies. So we were doing a series of videos where we knew we would have cutaways to pharmaceutical manufacturing and there'd be a lot of machinery, and it really just wasn't possible for us to go and go to one of these client locations and shoot in their factories.
Especially labs, I mean, they're so restricted.
Right. So, and we had to have a kind of a quick turnaround on this. So we have a subscription to some stock footage websites, and looking around, we were able to find what we needed, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, in this case, it made sense because, as you said, we subscribed to this website, we found what we needed, but it can be very expensive. I mean, you could pay $200 or more per clip. And so if you're doing a project where you're going to use 20, 30, 50 clips, you do the math, it becomes very expensive. So you have to put those two things, and sort of figure out. Now, one thing also, Joe, is creatively, if you're going to use stock footage, what are some of the challenges between maybe matching, footage, because they're not all the same, they might look a little different, the equipment that was shot was different, how do you deal with that?
Right, so ideally what we try to do is make it not look like we use stock footage. So when I'm selecting clips, I want to make sure that maybe the style is a little similar. I can tell if a camera that the person used was low quality versus a high quality camera. And I also try to take the clips and tweak the colors a little bit, and we might add a different look to the video and have that look applied to all the different clips, and that can help to kind of make things a little more even and not make it look like everything's coming from a different source. So color is a big thing, and then beyond that, you can use music and editing to kind of smooth over some of the edges, and it can work out pretty well. As long as you're selecting your clips well, then you're thinking ahead and you can make it work.
Very good. So stock footage can be a great solution, just use it wisely.